Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Canadian Ruck. This is Jamie Gray. This pod, we welcome a couple of members of the San Diego Legion of Major League Rugby. We welcome Travis Larsen and Josh Thiel. Travis was born in Canada, moved to New Zealand at age 6, back row with the Legion. He was with Old Glory in 2020. He was with Austin Elite prior to that, along with his brother Josh. 2014, he played semi-pro in Italy, and he's also been an alternate with Rugby Canada at the 2019 Rugby World Cup. Josh, born and raised in British Columbia, is a fly-half of the Legion, won his first cap with Canada in 2018 versus Chile. These guys are an exciting duo over there for San Diego, and we look forward to this great conversation coming up. As always, just a little plug. We're on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, lots of ways that you can follow us on social media. We also have our own Gmail, canadianruck@gmail.com. We're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and CastBox, where you make sure that you need to watch, listen, follow, subscribe, and then share as well. Make sure as many people hear these great rugby stories, because it's important that we share these great rugby stories from some truly great Canadian rugby players. Lastly, our website is thecanadianruck.weebly.com. Check that out for any past content or upcoming information. In rugby news, got a couple of things. I'm just going to look at two things, one international and one on the national side. International, World Rugby announces landmark study into brain injuries. All right, so they announced that more than 700 male and female amateur rugby union players from adults to under 13 will shortly take part in the largest study into what happens to the brain during head impacts. World Rugby's chief medical officer, Dr. Anna Falvey, stated that this is landmark with regards to head injury. And he followed that up with stating, player welfare continues to be our top priority. By continually commissioning and partnering in research, we can make evidence-based decisions that will advance our understanding of injuries in the sport and, more importantly, inform the moves that we can make to reduce them. World Rugby is now implementing also an eye tracking system to detect and manage concussions. Along with that, Dr. Willie Stewart, who used to work for World Rugby, but now is a consultant neuropathologist at the University of Glasgow, he stated that women and girls face double the risk of a concussion from playing sports compared to men and boys. And he also estimates that there's about one brain injury per match within the professional game. Past listeners probably know this. If you're new, you don't. I've had my bout with concussions and head injuries as well. I've had 10, enough concussions to fill up both my hands. My last one is actually a little over a week ago. If it had happened to majority of people on the planet, it wouldn't have been a big deal, but I got smacked in the face with a ball during a practice. We were cleaning up and one of the boys threw one to me and I didn't know. And it's knocked me pretty silly over the last 8 days. I had to miss a couple of days of work. And this what's happening with World Rugby, I believe, is progress towards player safety. And that's something I think we could all agree is needed in today's game. Accidents happen, but anything we can do, anything World Rugby can do to limit and minimize the risk of head injuries, I think is a bonus, and it's something that we should applaud. On the national side, Rugby Canada, this is a little more fun and a little more positive, I guess, but Rugby Canada introduced their 2020 Hall of Fame inductees a few days ago. Big start right off the hop, the 2014 Women's World Cup team. It's amazing. Silver medalists back in France. And I'm actually working on with a few of them to try and get a joint pod set up from that 2014 squad. And that's going to be pretty awesome. So we've already got Maria Sampson, Tyson Bukaboom, and Cara Paquin lined up. And I'm waiting to hear back from a few others. So that should be really good. Another inductee is Leslie Cripps, 20 caps as Canada's captain. She also played for the World 15s team back in 2003. And Jose Lacasse, she was a member of 3 Rugby World Cup teams for the women, 94, 98, and 02. Moira Shields, 25 matches for Canada, 11 as captain, and she was at the 98 and 02 World Cups. And Winston Stanley, he debuted at 19 for both the 7s and 15s program. That's pretty cool. And he's a member of the 95, 99, and 03 Rugby World Cup squads. This is a stellar draft class, some great names and amazing teams. Great selections this year, Rugby Canada. Way to go. Coming up now, Travis and Josh. So Canadian Ruck welcomes a couple of MLR legends. We've got Travis Larsen, we've got Josh Thiel, and we're excited to have them on. Travis, Josh, welcome for joining us, and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so let's jump right in. So a couple interesting backstories for both of you. Travis, born in BC, moved to New Zealand at like age 5 or 6, eventually came back to Canada. He had a little tour off in Italy for a bit. Walk us through your development, like New Zealand to Italy to Canada. How did your rugby story start? Obviously, it's New Zealand, but what kept you invested in the game for so many years?
Yeah, I think my old man's a New Zealander, mum's Canadian. So even growing up in the early years in Canada, we were going out to the Nanaimo Hornets club rooms and watch Dad is still playing in those days. So we went and watched him play for a little bit. And obviously I'd watch all the All Blacks games and that growing up. And Dad managed hotels. So we actually initially moved from Canada to Fiji for a couple of years. A couple of years over there and a couple of years in the Cook Islands. And obviously over there, rugby is quite big in the Pacific Island community too. So that's where I first started playing itself. And obviously with Dad there and my younger brother, we had a few in-house competitions and would play a bit of backyard and beach rugby against each other. And then at age 10, moved over to New Zealand. And so I really got stuck into some bare feet rugby in the local club stuff up there. And obviously, as you guys know, in New Zealand, it's a part of life. Everyone's playing rugby on a Saturday. And with Dad obviously pushing us through in there, that was a big part of it. Really, really enjoyed playing there. In New Zealand, you play with bare feet up until 13 years old. So
I love that.
good little start running around on the Saturday mornings. You'd see all the kids in there, 11, 12-year-olds in your bare feet running around. Basically been playing ever since then and just fell in love with the game. And that's a huge part, thanks to the old man who really pushed myself and my brother to get involved from a young age.
Well, that's great. Yeah, like family investment in rugby is great. What happened in Italy? Like what went on there?
Yeah, so I was playing obviously a bit in New Zealand, and I have a big passion for kind of traveling and trying to get out and see a bit of the world. And I've met an agent, a company back in New Zealand called Inside Running that posted up a few opportunities, and one actually came up for Italy. And the guy said, would you be interested in going to playing a season in Italy? And of course, jumped at the opportunity. It's such an amazing place, a cool culture to be a part of. So moved over to a little town called Piacenza in the middle there, about an hour south of Milan. And over there, there was one foreigner allowed in the team. So I was the only foreign player and the only English speaker, if you will, as well. So took a bit of getting used to it at the start. But the other great thing I think with going over to Italy, obviously, it's just being able to play in a full-time environment year-round. Not many people, I think, are aware that even in New Zealand, if you're playing provincial rugby, the Mitre 10 Cup, most boys work jobs as well. So you'd be professional for 3 or 4 months of the year, and then you have to go and get a job, and you have to get pretty flexible employers to be able to run that year-round. Unless you're making Super Rugby in New Zealand, you generally, the only way of playing year-round is to head overseas. So at that point, I thought it was a good time to go overseas part of the world and also get my first taste of training and being in a full-time environment on a year-round basis, which was just great for my development as a player. And also, the opportunity to be able to see a beautiful part of the world was just a huge bonus.
Absolutely. So do you have the ability to get carded for Italy now?
No, I only did 2 years over there. So there's a bit of talk. There's if you could do 3 years, I think is when you qualified. But being born in Canada and having my mum in Canada was always my intention. I did want to represent Canada. So even while I was in Italy for those first couple of years, I think I was messaging initially Kieran Crowley and then later Mark Anscombe about coming over. And then after a couple of years over there, I was talking to Mark Anscombe and he kind of said, your best bet's to come over to BC and play a bit of club rugby. So that's when I made the move over. I did a second year over there with a team called Petrarca Padova, which is in the northeast of Italy there, which is another great experience. And I think 2 years over there was a great dash. I really enjoyed it, but I think I was ready for a new challenge and a new experience. And obviously, that chance to come over to Canada and really try and push for the national team was something that I really wanted to do. So, got on a plane and hopped on over to Vancouver and then over to Victoria after that. And really enjoyed being back in Canada and I guess getting back to my roots where I was born for the first part of my life and seeing some of my family and my grandma, and that was still there. So being able to connect with family and friends that I haven't seen for a few years was just awesome to be back there.
That's awesome. Now you dive headfirst into the MLR, so that's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Josh, let's get to you. You're born and raised in BC, arguably Canada's strongest rugby province. What's your rugby origin? Like high school, university? Like what's your pathway to get to San Diego?
So I was born in Victoria. We lived probably like 100-meter walk from James Bay. So my dad was playing for the Bays at that point. And then when I was quite young, I think it was the 99, so I would have been 1.5, I think. After the 99 World Cup, my dad got a contract over in France with Narbonne.
You were like 1 year old then?
Yeah,
Oh,
really
man.
young. So unfortunately, I don't remember any of the French part of my life. But so yeah, we moved over to France pretty young, and then from there, we were there for about a year. And then from there, he got a contract with Sale Sharks. So we were in Manchester for a little bit. That was about another year. And then after that, we went to Wales. I think there was quite a few Canadian guys in Wales at that point. I think Rod Snow was there. I know there's others, but they're eluding my mind right now. But yeah, so he was with Bridgend, and then Llanelli, the Starlets. So we were there for about 3 or 4 years, I think, in Wales. So we got to watch we had season tickets to all the home games and everything. So when I was younger, obviously, quite like New Zealand, Wales is a pretty rugby mad country.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, it was a big part of the environment that I was growing up in. Getting to see dad play. Mom played for Canada as well. But yeah, growing up in Wales, going to watch games, hearing the crowd, the bands in France, stuff like that. The passion, the environment. It rubbed off, I guess. It was easy to want to be a rugby player when you're around that. So then we came back to the mainland, Canada, when I was just a couple, grade 3 maybe. And then I did high school in Canada, finished that, played for Abbotsford Rugby Club. And then after about a year of high school, my twin brother and I, the first time we separated, I went off to England for a couple of years for university. And he started doing, that was right when the karting program started. So he started doing originally the 15s karting program, and then he jumped over to the 7s. So I was in England with Mike Umunga as my coach for, I don't know if you know Mike Umunga. He's brother of Tana, obviously. So I was with him for a couple of years, and then came back, did the karting program for a year, and then after that year, Pacific Pride started again, or I think they're called the Canadian Rugby Development Academy now. That restarted, so that was nice because my dad actually was part of that, the original Pacific Pride as well. So that was
cool.
Full circle kind of stuff. And then about halfway through the season, actually, we just played Seattle at Shawnigan. And I got a phone call from Rob Hoadley, who was the coach of San Diego here last year, basically asking if I was interested in coming down and signing a contract. And yeah, I jumped on that pretty quickly and head on down to San Diego.
I imagine it's a beautiful place to be living in the winters instead of up in Canada, right? So BC winters aren't bad. I'm on the East Coast, so they're a little cold over here, a lot of snow. Yeah, I imagine Coach Mike probably had a lot of good stories to tell about rugby and being back in New Zealand, things like that. That would have been pretty fun, I imagine.
Yeah. He was. It was really fun to be coached by him. It didn't really want to get on his bad side sometimes, or it wasn't a good sight if you failed some fitness tests or you're not having the greatest day of training. But if you were on his good side, it was pretty good fun.
That's good. All right, Travis, looking at your dossier, you've enjoyed some different venues there in the Major League Rugby, with Old Glory for a bit, with Austin for a bit, now on to San Diego. Talk to us about some of those experiences. Like, how has that helped you as a player? What are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish there with that experience playing forward for you this year?
Sure. Yeah, I think the first time going down to Austin was a big eye opener. We went down there, with high expectations in the team, and that year we actually didn't win a game, so we were 0-16 the entire season. So there was a lot of stuff to deal with that year, obviously on and off the field, where it comes with that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things. In the time, it feels like the worst thing ever, but I think, looking back on it in hindsight, I learned some very good lessons out of that year, how to deal with adversity and how to deal with challenges when they come to you. So I think I got, a lot better at dealing with that kind of stuff. But definitely it's a great experience being down in America for the first time. Austin's a beautiful city. It's a great spot to be. And being down to get down there and meet some new people, and again, getting that full-time training environment was really good. And then obviously the move over to DC was great as well. I reconnected there with a Kiwi coach. It's the first time that, and he was awesome, just played that expansive style of rugby that they play in New Zealand. That was just great to be a part of. It was good just getting back to a bit of stuff that I was familiar with as well. A lot of the rugby, especially, in Italy, is quite forward dominated, like win a scrum, get a penalty, kick the points, whereas he was more, have a crack and throw the ball around. And that was just great to be a part of.
Which is way better for fans and engagement and stuff, right?
And as you guys have seen, the MLR is very high scoring. There's a lot of points. And I think it's great. It's really enjoyable to play, and also, going into games and that, there's going to be opportunities to score points, to have a go. And, it makes for a great spectacle for the fans and also for players. It's enjoyable to play. So, that was a great part of it. And then, obviously the move now to San Diego. San Diego's obviously one of the most beautiful parts of America, and a great place to be down living in. But also the team. I remember the last couple of years playing San Diego. Every time we played against them, it was a very physical and tough game. Forwards are big boys, and you could sense that they were well coached and well structured as well. And obviously, I've only been here a month, but the coaching staff and the things they've got in place are high level and very good quality. And I think that was a big drawing card for me to come here. To be part of a team and really push for, quite frankly, winning an MLR title is the end goal. And that's a big thing for me, is being part of a good environment and a good team. And so far, San Diego is really delivering on that front. And obviously, personally, with the season, we'd love to win a title. And on a personal note, I'd love to get really involved in that Canada setup. I think it's been something where, I did karting for about a year and a half. I've been there or thereabouts with them, but just kind of just missing out here and there. So it's something I really want to become a regular fixture in that men's squad. And I think playing regular minutes and playing well for a good team like San Diego was probably my best opportunity to hopefully do that.
I think that it's great this year with all the exposure the MLR is doing with their live streaming, free for everybody to watch. Kingsley and his coaching crew can watch any game live or record it. It's rugby comatose for me on the weekends. I'm just, filtering through game after game after game. I got one on my tablet. I've got one on the TV. I've got my phone up with other stuff going on. And, my wife's asking, are you going to come out and do some family things? I'm like, give me about an hour. We're good to go. But it's been great to watch. I love it. And it's great exposure for you guys.
That rugby network has been fantastic.
It's amazing
this year. Just even for us as players to be able to watch games straight away on demand. I know last year being in DC, there'd be certain teams you'd want to watch that you play next week, and you have to wait for the video to get sent through. Whereas this year, it's all on demand, all there at your fingertips. And that's just massive to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's great. So, you're talking about, trying to get carded with Canada, which is, every rugby player's dream. And it's something that I hope comes up here soon for you. Josh, you've been fortunate. You've been capped for Canada, which is amazing. How was that for you? Like, what was the November camp like? What are your expectations? What are your goals going into this MLR season?
Goals. First and foremost, like Travis said, we're trying to improve every week, and we want to be there at the end in the final, and hopefully go one better than San Diego did a couple of years ago. And the loss in the final a couple of years ago to Seattle at the death still burns pretty badly in some of the guys here, and it's definitely the big goal for us. That's what we want to accomplish this year. But for me, pretty much the same as Travis. I'd like to stick my hand up as best as possible for selection with Canada, whatever that looks like in the upcoming years with COVID and obviously the World Cup coming up, World Cup qualifications. But the back line that we have here, obviously Cecil, Bjorn Masson, Joe Peterson, all these guys with Super Rugby and World Rugby experience and exposure. I'm just trying to soak in as much as I can every day. Improve myself, and hopefully if I can do that, improve a little bit every day, the rest will take care of itself, hopefully.
Good attitude.
Yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, it's just kind of trying to help the team to get to where it needs to be, and like I said, that'll help me in the long run. But I was lucky enough to get capped in 2018. We played against Chile. I think that was my first ever time playing fullback. So I got to start at fullback for 80 minutes. So it was a little bit of learning on the fly. I think Kingsley brought me in and was like, "Have you ever played fullback?" I was like, "Nope." And he's like, "Right, we're gonna have a meeting. Yeah, we'll have a meeting tonight. Where we'll go over some video on defensive stuff and where you want to be." And so we did a quick video session. I think I had a couple trainings and got thrown in there. So and we won. So luckily enough, So there was a little bit of trial by fire, and it worked out.
100% win ratio.
Yeah, 100% win ratio. I've never lost.
That's good. You both have clearly like really good attitudes towards training, towards prepping, and team centered in your focused approach, which is awesome, which is what anybody can ask for. And it must have been hard. Like it's 2021. It's the end of March. It's almost Easter weekend, and we've been dealing with this COVID crap for too long. What, like, the season shut down after like the 4th or 5th week last year. You go through not knowing, are we going to be playing next year? What's happening? And then realize, okay, we are going to be playing. How do you mentally prepare yourself? How do you physically prepare yourself, basically individually, before you can actually come together as a team? What did you guys do? Sorry, I've got a 3-month-old puppy that likes to bark a lot once in a while. So,
are you right? That was definitely challenging. I mean, not only knowing when you're next going to play. I mean, you can't help but question things as a player. Like, will the competition survive? Are things going to keep happening? When's the next opportunity to be playing rugby? And I know there was a bit of soul searching going that last year, for a lot of us. But I think the important thing was just to try and keep training individually and stay fit during that time, because you never know when the opportunity can come up. And I'm really thankful for this organisation, the Major League Rugby, how they've managed to pull things together. I mean, it's not perfect, but this year the fact that, every state's different, and America's been quite tough, but they are managing to get games on the TV and get games out there. And I know huge thanks to all the team owners. There's got to be a big emphasis on them too, because like I know here in San Diego, we're not having fans in the stands at the moment. So the owners not being able to sell tickets are putting a lot of finances up there for the better of the game in North America, and obviously for the future. So that's been great. But definitely as players, I think it was just important to try and stay fit and just know when you're ready, but also take the opportunity to just mentally have a break from the game. I think that's a big thing. I know personally, like my partner works at school camps, and we actually went over to England for a month in November, and I went over and joined her and worked in a school camp over there, and it was just nice just to do something that wasn't rugby for a little while and just completely have a break from it. Because I think having that break and having that time away from the game, coming back now, you appreciate it so much more. I know that first game last week against New York for us, I was almost tearing up in the warm-up, just that feeling of we're back. It just felt so good. It had been just over a year since we last played a game of rugby. And for me, it was almost, as I said, emotional, just warming up and feeling that the ball in your hands and your mates around you, and just that feeling was just something that I really missed and I took for granted almost. And I think coming back after a year of layoff, it's almost just reignited a big fire in a lot of us to get back involved and appreciate what we've got here, because it is awesome to be able to play rugby now.
Absolutely. Josh, anything to add, or did Travis sum it up there for you?
Yeah, he did a pretty good job there. For me personally, I was just, I was obviously devastated because it took me a little while last year to get my visa and everything. I think I finally got down to San Diego right before the 3rd game. And then there ended up only being, 5 games. So I felt like I was just getting settled in, just getting comfortable. And then all of a sudden we break up for COVID. So that was a bit of a bummer. Obviously not the end of the world, but it was a little bit it was disappointing for sure. But then I had to go home. Luckily, my twin brother's in the sevens program. A lot of my friends are in the sevens program. So after a little bit at home, headed back out to Victoria, I think in August, I think it was. And they were doing some social distancing, 6-person groups, training groups. So I was able to get back into at least a little bit of rugby and some strength and conditioning training and stuff like that. So I was fortunate to do that, and to be able to kind of get a little bit of a head start in terms of getting ready to go. But yeah, the same thing as Travis said, it almost didn't feel real until you're getting on the plane to actually head back down to San Diego, or you're on the training field, you see your whole team again, you haven't seen them in a year, you're meeting all the new guys.
You can hug them and pass the ball to them and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
all
good.
the COVID testing and everything. So
Yeah. Are you guys doing like COVID tests weekly, daily? Like what's going on there?
Yeah, so we get twice a week now. All the boys get tested. So we'll normally come in on a Monday morning, get up, do a test, and then obviously Thursday before the game. So it's good. It's just for a bit of peace of mind too, when you're playing other teams and that kind of stuff, that they're all going through the same testing procedures. Touch wood, a game hasn't been cancelled because of COVID this year, and hopefully that can continue because they have done a good job in the preseason. I know there's a few hiccups in the preseason, but I think now teams have got around, making sure that boys are social distancing, sticking to their bubble as much as possible. And obviously with those testing twice a week, you can, if someone does happen to get COVID through no fault of their own, you can normally pick it up early enough so the whole team doesn't have to be pulled out. And obviously, as Josh was saying, a lot of teams are employing their training in smaller groups for certain things like gym and things like that, so that if one of your mates is exposed, the whole team isn't, it's very low risk, and it's only a small mini group that you're training with as kind of your close contacts, if you will.
Yeah.
But no, I think they've done a pretty good job in the MLR so far this year with kind of
good. That's awesome.
having that in place.
All right, that's good. So we're gonna jump right now. We're gonna do our quick fire, just a little bit of fun. Part of these questions are rugby based. Part of them are just more like your personality, just for fun. Are you guys ready to give this a try?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to start here first, and I want answer from both of you. So Travis, what's your favorite rugby tradition?
Favorite rugby tradition? To be honest, for me, I enjoy after the game being able to go there with the opposition and share a beer. That for me is one of the great things about rugby. Unfortunately, this year in the MLR, that's one of the things with our COVID stuff that we're not allowed to do. The game finishes, you go back to your change rooms, and it feels a bit weird, to be honest. You sit in your change room and you want to go and shake your opposite number's hand and just say, well played. But I think it's great. It's one of the sports where, it just has that ability to, people can, smash each other up for 80 minutes. You can even throw a punch against each other, do whatever you need to. And then after the game, you shake hands and say, well played. And I think that's my favorite tradition of rugby. Yeah.
I almost feel like you should be able to still do that tradition, because you're spending 80 minutes tackling and close contact, scrummaging against these guys. Like you're sharing bodily fluids. It should be okay, but I'm not the jury on that one. Josh, what's your favorite tradition?
Travis brought a good one up, but I think for when you get your first cap for Canada and you're riding back on the bus, you have to get up and sing a song, first cap song. So it's a bit nerve-wracking. You completely forget it. Obviously, you get told about it in the lead-up once the team's announced. So what song are you going to pick? And then, obviously, during the game, you completely forget about it. And then you get out of the change room, everything. And they're like, all right, you're up. Step on the bus, and you're ready to go. They hand you the mic, and you're in.
All right, so here's the deal. When somebody says their favorite tradition is anything to do with song, first cap song, singing to the other team, it is mandated by law that you have to sing part of your first cap song.
Oh,
I've heard that as well.
I totally, I wouldn't have brought that up if I'd known that rule.
You should do your homework.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat Parfrey sang on here. Like, there's been a bunch of them that sung on here. So.
Oh, I need a glass of water to start.
What was your song?
My song was "Tribute" by Tenacious D. So.
Fire it up.
Oh man. Oh man. All right. Well, it's a cappella, so it was a bit awkward, but once the boys knew which one I was singing, it got better. So it starts, this is the greatest and best song in the world. And there's a little tension and pause, and tribute. And then as soon as I said that, everyone starts, oh, okay, I know this one. A long time ago, me and my brother Kyle here, and luckily enough, I had Kyle Bailey on the bus. So when I said that, he stood up and got into it with me. We was hitchhiking down a long and lonesome road. Then all of a sudden, there shined a shining demon in the middle of the road. And he said, yeah, so, and then obviously, you know the rest. I won't bore everyone with it, but that was a short version of what happened.
Oh, that's fair. That's good. I like it. That's good. All right. So now, between the two of you, who has the best rugby nickname?
I don't even know if I have a rugby nickname, to be honest.
Oh,
my OT calls me Tielinho, but that's the best I've got. Tielinho is. I get a lot of JT. Yeah, I don't know. JT, Tielinho. There was an old manager, the Pride, that used to call me and my brother Squealer, and I'm assuming that's just a rhyming word, but I never got the actual reason from him. Travis, you got any? Any Italian ones?
In Italy, I'd occasionally get called ciccione, which is slang for fat boy.
That definitely beats me. That beats mine.
That's what your Legion meets are going to start calling you now. Eh?
Ciccione? How do you pronounce that?
Ciccione.
Ciccione.
It's safe to say I got stuck into the pasta and pizza when I first got in there. So I used to see how much food I was putting back, and they started calling me Ciccione for a while there. So
that's staying.
My Italian one.
Yeah. I think we have to stop the nickname question right now. Nothing's going to top that. All right, between the two of you, who has the most skill?
Oh,
no question.
You've got a first five sitting next to a forward, so I think we can safely say
Travis scored a pretty speed try on the weekend. I was watching because I've got a little bit of a knee injury right now, but I don't know how he managed to get that ball down over the line, and there were like 4 or 5 guys on him, so it might give him the nod for that one alone.
Just for the try alone. All right. Between the two of you, who's going to stop a 2v1?
Who's going to stop a 2v1? Ooh.
Again, I'd give that to you. The forward, I'd probably fly up and try to do something silly.
Oh, 2v1. I mean, just tackle the ball carrier. If he makes the pass, he makes the pass. It's someone else's job now, isn't it? I guess. So
said like a true back right there, right?
Yeah.
All right. Which of you, like, who's the best tackler?
Probably him. Puts in he's got a bit more weight behind his shots, so yeah.
It's all those Italian meals he's been
soft tackle, but I like to defend that wide.
Okay. All right. Drift right there.
Both like a true team. Yeah.
Of
My
the
dad
two
will
of you,
be pretty upset I just said that. So if you're listening, Dad, that was a joke.
Of the two of you, who's the first to do a knock on?
As a forward, very likely me. Yes. It's always the halfback's fault when the forward knocks it on. So it's probably from a pass from Josh.
It'll be a pass. It'll be a pass from 9 to me, and then Travis will just run in the middle of it and hit him again. So.
This just means his timing's a little off, right?
Yeah.
All right. Of the two of you, who's the first to get a red card?
Well, Travis got a yellow on the weekend, so
okay.
We're halfway there.
Yeah, probably as I'm halfway there, I think it's.
He went from 0 to 0. He scored the try and then got a yellow.
Just about cost the game.
You're getting all the bad answers. I'm getting the good ones.
That probably answers the next question. Who's the dirtiest on the pitch?
Yeah.
I don't know the dark arts that go on in the forwards and on all the balls. So, we just tend to focus on our own stuff, and then when the ball comes out of the maul and the scrum, we switch on. So,
okay, I think I know the answer to this one, just because of the Italian story. But who's the fittest?
Josh's time in the karting and sevens would probably put them on that one. He's been working hard. So.
Just means his cardio's better. Doesn't mean he's fitter.
Oh, exactly. It depends what type of fitness we're talking here. But no,
I was mostly running water when I was 7, so you don't need to be too fit for that. It was about a good 40 meters there and back.
There's a lot of breaks though. Like you're out there quite a lot.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, some repeat sprints is basically my fitness for the day.
Okay. Who's the best at yoga?
Yoga. Do you
Yeah.
do yoga?
A little bit.
Okay, well that'll be you then, because I don't have much experience in the way of yoga.
Yeah, getting old now, so I've been getting into yoga a bit lately. So the older you get, the more important yoga becomes. So
that is true.
Yeah, I do a little bit of stretching, but I don't know if it's considered yoga or anything like that. Not yet.
How old are you? Like 22, 23, Josh?
I'm 23. I turned 24 in June.
And Travis, you're 20.
I'm 29 now, 29. So you'll wait till your late 20s, mate. You'll be doing daily yoga.
I'll get a head start. I'll start next week. I'll get a head start.
Josh, if you don't start now, you're going to be I can't touch my toes. And I haven't been able to for the last 10 years. And I didn't play nearly as highly competitive rugby as you guys, but it's just enough that my body's twisted enough that I can't turn certain ways anymore. All right. Which of you has the best taste in music?
You like a bit of DJing, actually. I'd probably go.
I don't know. I'm almost exclusively. I'm a huge Jack Johnson fan, so I'm almost exclusive at some points. So if you're not into Jack Johnson, then you probably won't pick me to DJ the.
I like Jack.
Yeah, can always get down with some Jack. So it's that's I would say that's a good majority of my iPhone is him. So I might have to give based on variety. Trav, you might have me beat there. Trav always plays a bit of 660, that New Zealand band. So you're in Trav's room when you hear that.
And nobody else knows what it is.
Every rugby team will get into a bit of 660. There's always a token Kiwi playing it.
Yeah. Luckily, we're not in charge of the music here. There's quite a few boys who bring their speakers to training and stuff like that, so we don't have to worry about that. But it would probably be like a mix of some classic rock and some Jack Johnson for me. So I don't know how long I'd be allowed to be the DJ for the team. I might get booted off pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't think Jack Johnson's going to work pregame there. I don't know how many people.
Yeah, no, yeah. I might have to send him an email, get him to make a bit faster paced songs. But.
There you go. All right, who's the better cook?
Probably. Well, Trav made dinner for a few of the boys the other night, so it was pretty good. It got my seal of approval, so I'll give it to him. I make a lot of pasta, a lot of rice in the rice cooker, so I don't think that qualifies me for the title of cook.
That's fair. What did you make for everybody, Travis?
Did a little burrito night. When we say I cooked, I peeled vegetables and cut it. My fiance Paige did the majority of it, but
earned herself a few brownie points for that answer.
I've watched her cook enough to say I could probably whip up a dish or two here and there. But, yeah, definitely had to up my game a bit lately with her around.
All right. Who's the worst roommate on a road trip?
Out of us two or in our entire team?
You can go either way there. If you want to throw somebody on the bus that's not there to defend themselves, that's up to you.
I don't know. I'm trying to think who I room with. I roomed with Adam Zaruba, and he was pretty cool. I mean, he slept a lot.
Travis is staring you down right now, Josh.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like to do my own thing, and I don't mind, chilling out and lounging. But I know Travis is big into his coffee, so he normally gets some coffees organized. So he's probably got me. It's not that I wouldn't say I'm a bad roommate. I hope, but he might be a bit better one just with his organization and his coffee trips.
Yeah, that's a good roommate thing to do. All right, who gets in trouble at the pub more?
Have you ever been in trouble with the pub? Because I've never been in trouble with the pub.
Yeah, well,
so if at all,
we don't go to them these days with COVID. But before that, I don't know. Josh, young and single, he's probably getting in a bit more trouble than I am, I'd say.
I got kicked out of a pub once because my eyes were too big, is what I was told. I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, but I was asked to leave. So I guess that's probably the most trouble I've ever got at the pub. Normally, I try to keep it low key.
Okay, so that might make it difficult for this one. Next question: cops come to break up a party that you guys are at. Who's getting picked up by the police and who's getting away?
Josh is faster, so he's getting away. And I'll be straggling behind him and probably getting picked up by the police, I'd say.
Our manager is an ex-military guy, with the U.S. military, and he's spoken to us about being in different zones of awareness and knowing where exits are. And I know that if this happens here, then my exits are over there and there. So I've picked up a bit from him. So as soon as trouble starts to go, then I've located all my exits already, and I'll be out of there.
Travis, you're just going to stay behind and take the brunt of it and let everybody else get away.
I know I can't keep up. So I just stand there with my hands up.
All right, so we've got just a couple of questions left, but there are a series of questions that go back and forth. So, Josh, who would play Travis in the Netflix movie of Travis's life?
Ooh.
So, Travis, if you're smart, you're going to think the same question's coming about Josh, though.
I'm trying to think, do I go for, like, just an actor, or do I go for an actor who looks like Travis?
Yeah, either or. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. That's a great question. I might just be generous and give you like a Brad Pitt or something.
Oh, I'll take that.
Who's the biggest Kiwi actor?
Biggest Kiwi actor?
Are there any?
Don't have much, to be honest. Flight of the Conchords. Anyone on Lord of the Rings?
Taika Waititi's the director.
Taika Waititi's the director, but he also acts a bit too. So he's probably the most famous one at the moment. We have more directors and extras, I think, is what we specialise in. The main role doesn't go to the Kiwis very often. Yeah.
I'll just be generous. I'll give him Brad Pitt.
Give him Brad Pitt?
It's not too far off.
All right, Travis, same question. Who would play Josh in the Netflix movie of his life? Seeing how he's already picked, you can go out. You can say Shrek or something.
I might take away the Brad Pitt.
Because he was generous, I'll give him a young, handsome Ryan Gosling, 23 years old, single man in San Diego.
That's exactly who I would have said for myself.
Prowling the beaches. That'll be Josh Thiel.
I thought one of these might throw it like Ron Burgundy or something like that, but. All right, Josh, follow-up question. Who would play Travis's leading lady in that movie?
This is a tough one because his fiance is here.
She can't get mad at you, though.
I'm not allowed to ask Travis for help, am I?
No.
What's her name? Is it Emily Blunt? Is that the
Emily Blunt?
Yeah, Emily Blunt. I'll go with Emily Blunt.
I like that.
Yeah, I'll go Emily Blunt.
All right, so Brad Pitt with Emily Blunt. Travis, who would play Josh's leading lady? That's
a good cast.
Seeing as it's San Diego Beach vibe, and we're sticking to the Canadian. Maybe Canadian. I know my fiance Paige, she went to the same school as a young Pamela Anderson, so maybe we could go with a young Pamela Anderson roaming the beaches at surf lifesaving in San Diego, and young
listening to Jack Johnson.
Ryan Gosling's down sunbathing and doing his thing.
I'll take it. I can't complain.
That's a good show.
I can't complain.
All right, last question each. Josh, what would the movie be called for Travis?
Ooh, what would the movie be called? It's on the spot. This is a tough one. Why can't Travis go first on this one?
Travis, what would Josh's movie be called?
Sticking to the theme, well, if we've got Pamela Anderson and Josh sunbathing, have to be Babe Watch with Josh Thiel, I think, something along those lines. Baywatch San Diego edition with starring Josh Thiel.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh man, I thought I'd have more time than that. I think. Some people on this team say you're a plastic Canadian because of your Kiwi roots. So maybe we'll go with that plastic Canada, maybe.
Plastic Canada. I like it. All right, thanks guys. Those were a lot of fun. Got a few questions left, and then we'll sign off. But let's talk a little bit more. San Diego Legion had a tight loss against Rugby United New York in round one. Then followed, you had a nice, close, tight win over there, Austin, on the weekend, which was awesome. How's the team shaping up after week two?
Good. Obviously, the New York game wasn't exactly what we wanted to happen. I think it's been tough for every team, not just us. But we had a pretty limited preseason in terms of COVID protocols. We moved out to Vegas. So having to move all the operation out from California to Vegas, that definitely took a bit of a toll. But it was a great job by the organization to do what they did, to be able to move it here and to get us playing. But there's some, a lot of little things that we felt that we could fix for New York. And we did correct a bunch of those. I felt, at least from my perspective, watching the game against Austin, I thought our defense was amazing. They had a lot of possession, a lot of territory, especially towards the end. We had that big goal line stand to win it. And anytime, like Travis mentioned earlier, with a high scoring league that the MLR is, anytime you can hold a team to, was 11 points, I think?
One try.
Yeah, one try and 11 points. You're going to be in a good situation for the majority of the games you can do that.
For sure.
Yeah, following up what Josh said, I think that is a big focus after New York. We felt we let that game slide. I think as a team, we have no doubt our attack. We have the ability to score tries, and a big issue was round one. I think we let in 5, maybe 6 tries in that game against New York, and that wasn't up to our standards. So, yeah, we did make a few adjustments defensively with how we defend and kind of our structures around that. And Austin's a very good team. You see, they're much improved this year. I think they're genuine title contenders, to be honest with you. They're a very good outfit. So we knew it was going to be tough playing them. And they threw a lot at us, and it was just, I think, unfortunately, our attack didn't fire like it normally does. But the good thing is, holding it to 11 points, as Josh said, you don't lose many games when you can hold teams to that amount of points in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like 14-11 or something on the weekend. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
You got Rugby Atlanta coming up this weekend, Rugby ATL coming up this weekend. What's your week look like when you're prepping for a game? Because you come off a pretty hard fought match and against Austin, and you've got a week to prepare for ATL. What's a typical week look like for you guys in the MLR there in San Diego?
Normally we'd be, to be honest, have 3 full days of training and then 1 captain's run, and then we'd go. But having 2 away games back to back and also a 6-day turnaround, I think it's more about getting the bodies right, spending a lot more time on video and almost mental reps, if you will. We've got a big day tomorrow, so Wednesday. We've actually had Tuesday off where boys have just been able to do pull recovery, watch some film, do that kind of thing. And the onus is on the player. We've got an analysis room where we can go in and out of as much as we want here in our accommodations. So we've been doing that. And then obviously Friday we'll be flying. We got back Monday evening, and Friday afternoon we'll be flying out to Atlanta. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. So we'll train a full day Wednesday. Thursday will be a bit of a light session, but we'll be on field again. And then Friday we'll fly to Atlanta, do a bit of a captain's run that evening, and kick on Saturday. It's pretty much for this week. But a normal week, we do a Monday, Tuesday will be full days, quite heavy days too. Wednesday you'd have off. Thursday it'd be a bit more speed focused, but not as long. And then Friday would be quite light on the legs and recovering and captain's run before the Saturday kickoff.
That's fair. Any teams circled on the calendar that you're looking forward to a little bit more than most? And it might not be an easy one to answer because you don't want to give fodder to another team, but maybe an ex team or something like that. But is there somebody you're looking at the calendar thinking, I can't wait for that match?
Obviously with LA being in the league this year, cross California rival, they're looking good coming out of the gates. So we'll definitely be up for that one. Personally for us, I think both of us probably are looking forward to Toronto. With them being the only Canadian side, it's always going to be a good challenge, especially for me, with the Canadian backs they've got. I got some good friends there. So those Toronto especially is a big one, just I think for the Canadian, the whole Canadian thing. And anytime you get to play against a team that has, Canadian guys that you grew up playing against or anything like that, it's always a fun one and one you look forward to. I know Fraser Hurst is in Utah. I grew up playing with him. So that'll be a good one. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Austin because there's a few Canadian guys down there as well. But those will probably be my couple of big ones.
Yeah. I think personally I'm similar to Josh. Playing the Arrows is a big one. Being Canadians playing in an American team, it's funny being on the other side, but that's a big one for us playing against the Arrows. And Personally, obviously playing DC, a lot of those boys are the same team from last year, and I think we're playing them later in the season and going over there. So I'm looking forward to getting back there. But I think this weekend, Connor Keys and Matt Heaton both played for Atlanta, and they're two of my really good mates. So I'm looking forward to getting chop tackled a few times by Heaton and you head rubs from Connor Keys on the weekend. I think that's going to be good fun, and there's a bit of chat going on the field as well. So I think I'm looking forward to that battle.
I think Connor had a yellow on the weekend last weekend too, I think.
Really?
I think. Don't quote me. But Matt's somebody I wouldn't want to piss off, that's for sure.
No, I get along with him good. He's a good mate. He's fun to wind up and all that kind of stuff. But he's definitely a tough man. He's a hard boy to run on the field. So I know he loves to get low and just fly into a chop tackle. So I try my best to do the slowest sidestep in the world and try and get around the outside of him, because running straight into him's not much fun.
Travis, you grew up in a place where rugby's the alpha dog sport. It's New Zealand. It's the sport. And Josh, like, you come from a strong rugby bloodlines. You talked about your dad a little bit. You talked about your brother a little bit. What do you guys think Rugby Canada and Canada in general? What can we do to promote rugby better within our country, get more people playing? Grassroots level stuff like that. What can we do to help rugby grow and thrive in Canada?
I think personally, going to the Pride or the Canadian Development Academy out west, I think that'll be big, bringing it back. Obviously, Jamie Covmore is there coaching right now, so that was big. It was good to play for him for a little bit. But I think that'll be big in terms of giving people who are coming out of high school something to do to continue the rugby. I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think Rugby Canada, we lose a lot of athletes who, when they finish high school, they finish their the under 18s, the under 19s. There's not much in terms of another step between that and going straight to senior men's rugby. So I think if we can continue to progress with that, and obviously for the MLR, with what they're doing with their, like we mentioned earlier, with the free streaming and everything, getting that more into the mainstream and getting more people watching that and more people seeing that and seeing that's something that Canadians can aspire to do and want to play rugby. I think that'll definitely help.
Yeah, for sure. I think comparing it, Canada to New Zealand, I think a big difference is Canada's there's a lot of multi-sport going on. Like you go to schools here. I actually taught at while I was doing the karting program for a year, I was teaching at Brentwood School, and just seeing all the kids on the island there that were, they'd have a soccer ball or a football or a hockey stick, and there'd be so many different sports going on. Whereas in New Zealand, you go to a school and everyone's throwing a rugby ball and playing touch at lunchtime. And I think, obviously not everyone's going to play rugby, but getting it from a young age ingrained into the kids is huge, and keeping that going. I also know there's generally an under 21s, like a Colts level, which, as Josh was saying, not many teams, because it's a big thing if you're a young prop who's 18 years old to go straight to men's rugby and go against some grizzly old 35-year-olds, pretty tough going. So I think having that stepping stone, both at the amateur and the professional level, is very important. And just getting the numbers out there, getting people involved, and getting the sport noticed. I know there's some great organisations in Canada that are doing that. I know, like Phil Mack at Thunder, is doing a lot of work within rugby. They're doing a great work there, and I think that programs like that are just going to only help the development of rugby and just getting it in the schools and getting numbers playing. Because I think from the amateur point of view, just having numbers, just having lots of people out at clubs, because those are the people that, people that might not want to play for Canada but just want to play rugby with their mates, those are the people you need at grassroots level, because if you have a strong grassroots, it leads up to the national team. And obviously with the national team now, I think the more stepping stones you can have. I know when I first came over in 2016, a lot of boys were playing club rugby and going straight to internationals a couple of weeks later. And I know, like I remember Cole Bailey was playing for the West Shore second division team one weekend and then played Ireland 2 weeks later over there. And that's a big step up. So I think having that extra step with the Pride Academy and then the MLR and then national team, I think just creates more pathways for players and more opportunities to prove themselves at higher level. particularly this Major League Rugby, as you've seen the last couple of years, is just getting better and better, and the caliber of players is getting to a very high standard. This is my third year now, and the difference, I think teams now would beat teams from 2 years ago by 30, 40 points. It's really, really increased the standard, and it's just going to get better. So I think the more Canadians you can get in this league, the better. I think we've got 60-odd, if I'm not mistaken, 60-odd players in the league now. From Canada spread throughout, and that number's going to only continue to grow up. So the more you get there, the more competition there is for jerseys, the more guys that are playing regular high-level minutes. I think it's only going to help the national team.
It's neat too when you see some, retired guys or guys that are just, hanging up their cleats for Australia, like a Makito and things like that, where they're coming over because they want to, I want to keep playing. I want to live over in North America and try, and it does nothing but I guess generate more interest in the game of the MLR. Lastly, like if you get a casual fan, what would you tell them about San Diego Legion Rugby? Like, how are you going to entice them to come watch some games or watch it online? What would you guys say to them?
Go first on that.
Yeah. I think over here in America, it's all about educating. A lot of people down here don't know rugby. A lot of people, it's just getting it out to the communities and getting people knowing what actually is rugby, because it fits the American viewership. Like, they love sports down here. They love watching football. They love basketball. They go to games. They buy their jerseys. It's awesome. That's how much they can follow sports. And I think the consistent, almost just, fast-paced violence that rugby has really suits the American viewer. I think we have a player on our team, Sam Mooching, who played very high-level college football up in Washington, and he actually did a little bit of a story on it the other day where they were asking him about it, and he was saying that very thing. So I think it really does fit into the American type. So definitely for me, it's just getting out there and saying to people, do you know what rugby is? Have you seen a game of rugby? When they ask you what it is, I think it's our duty as players to talk about it. It's, show people, say, check out San Diego Legion, follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and check out the video, see what you think of it, because I haven't met many people that haven't seen rugby before come along to a game and go, that was boring. Everyone comes along and says that was great to watch. Yeah. So I really think, North America as a whole, Canada and USA, it's really, people have said this for years, but there's a sleeping giant of world rugby. Like, if people really get behind it and it can become one of the big sports in North America, one of the top leading sports where people want to play, it's scary to think how good both Canada and USA can be in the near future too.
Yeah. Hey, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I had some family. I have some family in San Diego, and they had never seen rugby before. And last year, they got to come to one of the games, and like Trav said, they loved it. And they were planning on coming to all the home games. Unfortunately, obviously with COVID, that didn't get to happen. But it's just like things like that. Luckily in San Diego, we've got a great fan club. We got the cohort. I don't know if you've seen them. They're the guys who've smith their own armor, and they have the all the swords and everything. So they're doing watch parties and all that stuff back in San Diego. So luckily we have a great base for that with those guys and other fans who are pretty vocal in their support of us. And word of mouth will help us, I think, a lot to get more people out and to really build the sport. But I think the MLR has done a great job again this year of promoting it. Like we said already, the free streaming is huge for people to be able to watch it. I know I've had messages from people back home who've said, "Oh, your game is actually on TV here," which definitely 4 or 5 years ago you would never have thought that it'd be club rugby on TV on some big channels or anything like that. But the ability to watch it and to get it in front of more people is definitely going to help in the long run and in the near future, like Trav said.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you guys play Toronto, of course, TSN will be playing that, and it'll be coast to coast on TSN, which is pretty cool. For me, I get to chat with you guys, and I'm watching you on TSN. I'm like, yeah, I know those guys. And Cole Keith is like, he grew up half an hour from here, and I know him socially and stuff. So it's kind of neat when you see people, playing and things like that. So it's really awesome. But listen, guys, it's been a lot of fun. I had a lot of great laughs and learned a lot about what makes you two tick as rugby players. And I think it's great. So working for San Diego Legion, working your way back towards, trying to get some caps with Canada, it's all great. And you hold yourselves highly. And I think that you're going to do great things in San Diego. And I wish you the best, working towards some caps for Canada. And thanks very much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you as well. I think it's really important, people like you doing podcasts like this, getting the word out. The more exposure there is for rugby, is just the better. So I really appreciate things like this from people like yourself. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us on. Really appreciate it. Like Travis said.
That's awesome. Cheers, guys. All right, everybody. Thanks very much. Good stories, good laughs with Travis and Josh. You guys are San Diego is a good squad, and you two are making sure that they continue to go that route. Really thank you for joining us, taking some time out of your busy schedule. Good luck this weekend versus Matt Heaton in Rugby ATL. That should be a good match on tap. Coming soon, we got Rod Snow. We've got a group pod of Brett Bukaboom, Evan Olmstead, Matt Evans, and Matt Bukaboom. Tommy Woods and I are still trying to line up a date. Elisa Allaire, who's over in Dubai right now with the Sevens team, and a host of others. And like I said, that 2014 Rugby World Cup roundtable, and Matt Tierney and I are in conversations about trying to get a pod done as well. As always, need to say thank you for the listeners for listening to these stories about all these Rugby Canada, especially rugby players. This is amazing that so many people want to hear these stories and share them out, which is good. Keep doing that. As always, got to say thanks to my son Rylan for supplying us with their music. And as always, feel free to request topics, guests, anything for future podcasts. Lastly, this is Jamie. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. Most importantly, you know what's coming. Keep on rucking.